We're bringing you news faster than ever. You can watch us live from 4:30 a.m. with Good Morning East Texas all the way through the 10 o'clock news. That's 18 hours of news right here with East Texas Now.
All right, welcome back to East Texas Now. So from one Lane Luckie to another, we're joined here at the desk by the gentleman you just saw in that video, our Lane Luckie, with a special guest.
Andreas Mitzkus from Cologne, Germany. He is visiting us through the RIAS Berlin Commission. Back in 2017, I was selected for this fellowship where I spent about a month in Germany learning about the people, the politics, and learning about one of America's closest allies and that relationship and where it is today and how things have even changed over the last 10 years. And so I got to spend time there exploring Berlin, Hamburg, and even was able to do my Power of Prayer series at the time of the 500th anniversary of the start of the Protestant Reformation. So it was a really incredible experience.
You went to Cologne too.
I went to his current town in Cologne, Germany. They're in the western part of the country, but as the Germans say, it's Köln. But anyhow, got to come back here, share those stories. We even did some live interviews on East Texas Now at the time. But we've been able to host several German journalists. So the program works in reverse. So American journalists will spend time in Germany, and German journalists get to come here to the U.S. And since 1994, 1,200 Germans and American journalists have exchanged places to learn about each other and to build bridges and new friendships in the field of broadcasting.
I love it.
So tell us a little bit about what you do on a day-to-day basis. He works for the RTL network, and they have a 24-hour news channel called NTV.
That's NTV or NTV, right. And I work there as an editor. I do packages and I do shift work. So which means I can start at 3:30 in the morning, or I can do night shifts starting at 10 p.m. Whatever happens, we want to get it on the air.
Excellent. So, I mean, we do a lot of that, you know, here with the video production and the packages and such as well. Is there, just from a production standpoint, like, you know, I'm sure you've seen some packages edited here and produced here. Is there a difference in workflow or just the content that's put out there?
Big time. There's a lot less digital production news than it is here. So you guys are really doing a really good job, and I think you're really part of the future in this respect, because we are still on regular TV news. So we do news every hour, but we wouldn't broadcast on the internet.
Now, is there like a reason for that, or just you haven't gotten there yet?
I think we're just behind.
So even what we're doing right now is very, very innovative, even by European standards?
I would think so, yeah. We're happy to have a broadcast on the hour. And we do the big evening news and the night news. But this, I don't think this will be happening within the next few months or years even.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, because we're here, I mean, we're broadcasting all day. I mean, while everybody's out and about, the reporters are out and about getting stories for our evening newscast. Like, they still talk to us here, and we have videos and stories we play here all day long. So it's definitely, it was new for our newsroom as well when it started.
Can you actually see how many people are watching this right now at this minute?
At this minute, maybe not, but we can track it after the fact. Our web manager, she has all the analytics about who's watching and when they're watching and how they're watching, because this is, like, you can watch this on our website, on our easttexasnow.lab, but also you can watch it on your phone or your tablet. You can watch it on the little Roku device or the Amazon Fire device. So there's so many different platforms to watch it on that it's kind of a lot of numbers to go gather, if that makes sense. So, I mean, you can look at who's watching on the website right now, or who's watching it on your phone right now, but then there's all the other platforms, and because we have KLTV and KTRE, there's the KLTV app and then the KTRE app, and then the KTRE website and the KLTV website. So they all got to be, like, put together and kind of just do the math on who all's watching at one point
And I
in time.
think that's a very good question, because knowing how many people are watching at different times helps us to better craft what we're presenting to be more valuable, more relevant to our audiences, so that we're able to give them, the timely information that they need, especially at particular times of the day. Starting your day with traffic now, between 7 o'clock and 8:30. I mean, so as people are heading out the door, kind of knowing a little bit about our audience helps us to kind of serve you better.
Yeah, and some of the things are like that. They're very similar to what we do on a news broadcast. The traffic in the mornings.
Yeah.
We have weather updates every single hour on the 15 minutes, and so those same things carry over. Breaking news and things like that. It's the philosophy, the mentality is very much like a newscast would be. It just takes all the limits and all the constraints based on the time and the resources, and just kind of rips them away. And we're here all day long. And when there's not breaking news, there's enough national news, there's enough international news to kind of fill the time with. And then what's left, we have conversations with people. And
I really do give you credit for doing this, because I see you're pushing buttons in between.
Oh yeah.
And managing the cameras up and down. And
right.
And the audio as well. When you take a break?
Well, we can. It's flexible. Like if I wanted to, I could take a break as soon as we were done. I try not to do that because it just kind of breaks up the flow of the show. But we go down when our broadcast newscasts start. So at 4 o'clock, when our 4 o'clock news begins, I'll be off for the hour and a half that newscast lasts, and I'll come back.
Have a coffee or something.
Yeah, have a coffee, go eat some lunch, whatever else. But typically, if our broadcast newscasts are not on, we are, and we run pretty much all day long.
I just love how organic it is. I mean, certainly there are certain things that, we try and help our audience to plan around what we're going to do, weather at certain times of the day, or traffic at certain times of the day, recaps of the day's stories, things like that. But we really follow the news or the big story of the day whenever it happens, and that's what's great about this format is really the news dictates what we do.
Absolutely.
And not necessarily a national show or a scheduled program or something like that. So that's pretty cool.
And like if we only have just the broadcast newscast and something breaks, news breaks, at like right now, and we're in Ellen at the moment. We couldn't necessarily always be able to get that up and be covering it live as it happens. I have to wait until a newscast comes on to do it. But with this, we can have a reporter call in on FaceTime and talk to them right this very second from wherever they happen to be, not just in East Texas, but in the entire world, honestly. And we can push out to it on our web, our news apps, and they can just push the button and watch it live as it breaks, as it happens, and not wait for a newscast and not wait for something to be on television for it, but just right here, right now, a complete live report from wherever it's happening and whatever it's happening. So yeah, it's really it really works.
How big is the pressure for you to get the news out and make sure it's correct and still fast?
A little bit. The biggest pressure for me is when something's happening, right? And of course, we're here in the newsroom, so we can hear everybody talking to one another and things being thrown around. And is this reportable yet? Is this confirmed yet? Can I talk about it yet? And if I can, what can I say? If I can't, what shouldn't I say? And so that kind of like, should I go or not? Should I go or not? And if it's not time to go, if it's time to just wait and let things be confirmed, just kind of keeping a normal show going while all this stuff is happening out here. That can be a little bit, be in two places at once. Having one ear over here and then one ear on this thing can be a little bit tricky from time to time. But once things go and it's confirmed and it's time to talk about it, the only hard part at that point becomes being able to keep it going. Just like any breaking news scenario, if you're breaking into programming on television or have breaking news in a newscast, that's what you got to stay with, and you got to keep that coverage going for as long as there's something to report. Yeah. And that takes, just practice like anything else, and being able to keep that content, keep it going and keep it live and interesting. Advance the story, as it progresses. And being able to fill that time in between with meaningful content that still supports the story and keeps the viewers engaged in the coverage of it.
And that's very similar to really the spirit of this exchange program for journalists. So it's called the RIAS Berlin Commission. It's an acronym, RIAS, which stands for Radio in the American Sector.
Okay.
So in Germany, after the end of World War II, Berlin was divided among the four superpowers. And of course, the Russians were broadcasting, communist radio
Right.
in the eastern part of Berlin in their sector. And so the Americans found it would be important that Germans receive very objective news and information, some entertainment, culture, and music. And so they started a radio station in the late 1940s that was known as RIAS. And it really became one of the most popular radio stations, heard by thousands, if not, maybe millions of Germans.
Right.
And so it continued all throughout the divided Germany
Especially
era.
in the eastern part, they would also listen to it.
Okay.
And it was broadcast from West Berlin into the east.
Right.
And so when, of course, after the fall of the Berlin Wall, which in 2 weeks will be 30 years,
Right.
And the country worked to reunify, the radio station, which also had a TV station associated with it, RIAS TV, really had served its purpose. And so the American government shifted its funding, and the German government as well decided that this would become kind of a nonprofit foundation, and that they could continue in that spirit of, just being dedicated to impartial, fair, factual reporting and information through an exchange.
Yeah.
And so it became kind of a nonprofit foundation, and in '94 was the first exchange of RIAS Fellows. And so he is here for basically the week. He arrived on Sunday and gets to head home on Friday. But
Okay.
we have a full week of activities planned for him here in the newsroom and out around East Texas, and we've already had a busy couple of days.
Yep, I've got to see the Rose Garden
Okay.
this morning, followed by meeting the mayor of Tyler, which was really
Wonderful.
interesting. Hello, Mayor. Thanks for your time again. And then we went to the Museum of Broadcast.
Sure, the Texas
Oh,
Museum
yeah.
of Broadcasting and Communications in Kilgore, which
Really
is really a
interesting.
treasure.
Chuck, you're a good man.
And let's see, you've spent time here in our newsroom learning not only about what we're doing here on East Texas Now, but learning how our newscasts are similar to yours, but also different at the same
Yeah,
time.
we're using the same system and having the same trouble.
Right. It's the
At certain
universal
times.
language. Yeah.
So yeah, then language doesn't matter. It's just
Yeah.
we have one goal to inform the viewers and to entertain the viewers.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, in terms of just from American news media to, say, just European or German news media, like here we have so many different outlets that have a lot of very apparent different philosophies and different agendas, so to speak. And, with the coverage you're going to get from, say, a Fox News versus an East Texas Now versus a Washington Post print newspaper, do you have that disparity between outlets in Germany as well?
We do, but not as extreme as it is here, I would say.
Okay, so like to what degree?
We have public broadcasters that are funded publicly, right? So we have to pay I think it's 20 euros a month fee, and we get less commercials for that.
Right.
And those tend to be right in the middle, unbiased, and my station does the same. We try to listen to both sides and not do the opinion side,
Right.
but the news side.
Well, and that's something that I think we've seen here, in that there's a lot of punditry became a really big facet of American news coverage, and to some degree, it became more important than, but more ubiquitous, I should say, than just here's fact A, fact B, fact C. So the punditry became a thing, and I'm just kind of curious again if that's something that's spread beyond the bounds of America, if that's something that's affecting other journalism elsewhere as well.
Well, we want to inform people, but also guide them through the day and tell them what might be right and what might be wrong by telling them arguments and not just opinions.
Right, absolutely. So having spent the time here and kind of seeing American news journalism and hanging out with Lane, who's extremely educated in the subject, what do you find wanting to take back to your own station, to your own work, and or vice versa, even here for us to learn from or anything else?
Well, one thing I'm going to take home is that you can broadcast even when you don't have a big show coming up in 8 hours,
Right.
for instance.
Absolutely.
And that it can be quick and still okay or good. So this is what I'm going to learn, that even if you're one person, you can be the anchor and the technician at the same time.
Right. Absolutely, yeah, and that's exactly what we're doing here. I mean, you see for those of you watching at home, like the camera changes, it goes double box and bring the other one up full screen. Like that's all happening right here when I push the button.
Yeah, I think that obviously the name of this streaming service, East Texas Now,
Right.
You see in the graphic, the logo for that, that's the biggest thing now. And I think that's what's so interesting and what's so relevant about what we're doing is, the viewers have access to a new level of transparency in our reporting because they're able to see the process more than they would in a more finished traditional broadcast. Whenever we're talking to our reporters in the field,
Right.
they're having a conversation with us and letting us know, I asked this question, but, I'm still trying to find this out. Or we get to see it really as it's happening, and it's very immediate and sometimes more relevant because of the timeliness of what's happening.
Absolutely.
I like the behind the scenes
Yeah.
that the reporters sent also.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's one of the neat things about it is that everything is, for lack of a better word, we'll just call it casual. It's not quite as polished as a well-produced newscast is going to be because we're calling people live, we're doing things live, but that adds a bit of immediacy to it, kind of a raw organicness to it, that you're watching something happen knowing that it wasn't put together beforehand or polished up beforehand, that it's happening right this very second, and you get to witness it.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes some of the, we'll call them imperfections, work in its favor, I think.
And you don't even wear any makeup, right? As opposed to you this morning.
I do not.
So you're less polished?
Right, yeah, less
But still-
polished. I mean, we're just, because they both serve a purpose, obviously. And it's hard to sit down and watch East Texas Now for an entire 18-hour day. Nobody has that kind of time. And sometimes you want to sit down and watch a 30-minute newscast and get this story, this story, this story, and move on with your day, and that's absolutely valid. And it has a very real place. But the people that watch East Texas Now, we find they turn us on when they get to work in the morning, and they leave it on all day long. And so it kind of keeps them company. It's their background noise, or they put it on in their car with the Bluetooth and through their phone, and so that they drive to work with it on. And so it's more of a companion than an active.
There really is a very personal connection.
Yeah.
Because the interaction that I know that you and Kayla get, through social media or emails and hearing from those viewers, hey, I heard you talking about this earlier, but can you ask this person that question?
Right.
And so our viewers also have access to kind of be a part of that news gathering process. Right. But the thing I think I love about it is exactly what you were talking about is really that it's also a convenience factor because it's often the news you need on your schedule.
On your schedule,
when you need it. Like you were talking about the immediacy. When there's breaking news and we send out a push notification, through our app, this is happening. This is on fire and threatening this, or there's maybe a suspect is on the run and law enforcement, or when we can help each other. This child is missing. Take a look at this picture. We're not having to wait until 4, 5, 6, 10 o'clock. It is now.
Right now.
And that, again, it just for someone, whether you're a journalism practitioner like the three of us, or you are a consumer where you're at home and you're needing this information. Like, that's what's really cool, and that's what excites me about this is just the immediacy of this happening and not having to wait, that we can get that information out just as quickly as possible.
Right. And the last RIAS fellow that we had here, Anna Maria, I mean, she was similarly very fascinated with the whole East Texas Now thing. And I feel like that maybe because journalism is kind of universal. And, putting together a newscast and reporting on stories, I mean, there's a... not one way to do it, but there's a very similar way to do it across the board.
And what's interesting is that modern journalism got its start in Germany,
right?
In Mainz, Germany, with the invention of the printing press.
Well, there you go.
With Johann Gutenberg.
And it's neat to see this. And this isn't really doing anything even that revolutionary in terms of we're still gathering information and reporting stories and everything else, but presentation's a little bit looser. The expectations are a little bit different, and because of that, it opens up the boundaries of what we're able to do. And it goes, there's a large spectrum of content on the show, from talking about, movies to talking about Halloween stuff, and then doing serious breaking news, and having
here's
these
this
conversations.
Election, and here's how these issues may impact you if they're approved, or this candidate, here's what their platform is. And
latest on Syria, the latest on the impeachment proceedings, everything else. So it kind of covers the entire spectrum of stuff that not every newscast can get to, because you've got 30 minutes. And you got to figure out, pick and choose what you're going to put in that 30-minute timeline.
And
community
some commercials
stuff.
too.
And some commercials too, yeah. And of course, there's community events. There's, we had a guest a moment ago who's in the cast for a show across the street at Liberty Hall, and so he just come by to promote the show. And so it kind of covers that whole thing, from international big stories to breaking news right now to just community stuff, and get people involved with what's happening around town. And we have the ability to kind of cover that entire spectrum of things because we have the time that we have, and we have the looser structure that we have. And it works out really well.
Would you tell us a little bit about, why you made the decision to apply for this RIAS fellowship? What were you hoping to get out of this, or what attracted you to this opportunity?
Firstly, don't tell it anyone. Oh, too late. I didn't know about this program until my colleagues told me to apply for it, because they had gone on the program and they loved it.
Right.
And they said, you should do this. And this is why I applied for it. I wanted to, of course, visit a radio or TV station in a different country to see what the differences are, what the similarities are. And we also get to spend a week in Washington and a week in New York and talk to politicians, talk to media people, talk to the Pew Research Center to get numbers and figures, and just to try to understand what's going on in the United States.
Right. And have you been able to answer those questions and get the information that you were looking for?
I have learned that it is a very diverse country, and that the politics and what is being reported on the United States is not necessarily what life is here in the United States. So it's not all about politics, and there's nice people, even though it seems that Washington is always fighting.
Right. Okay, so with that in mind, I mean, is that the impression that you've gotten from seeing coverage back home?
Sure.
And you've come over here and kind of seen something differently?
I didn't expect everyone to fight over politics, but it's nice to see that there's many people who just want to have a good life and have friends and have family, and not just think, am I red, am I blue, impeachment, this and that, Trump needs to go, Trump needs to stay.
Yeah.
So life is a lot more. And it's good to experience this here, because when you turn on the TV back home, there's no reports about a happy life.
Right. It's all very much contentious, and the struggles and the conflict and everything else. Absolutely.
And I want to teach you something.
Okay.
Deutsch.
Deutsch.
Ich heiße Jeremy.
Okay. Ich heiße Jeremy.
Ich wohne in Tyler, Texas.
Ich wohne in Tyler, Texas. Okay.
Ich bin ein guter Journalist.
Ich bin ein guter Journalist.
Ja.
Okay.
Und ich heiße Lane.
Ich heiße Lane.
Ich wäre gern ein guter Journalist.
One more time.
Ich wäre gerne ein guter Journalist.
Ich wäre gerne guten Journalist.
Yes.
Yes. So
We try to be a very good journalist.
yeah.
That was bad. So you are a good one and you would like to be a good
Yes.
one. So people, wenn Sie es verstanden haben, herzlichen Glückwunsch.
Okay.
So yeah, that was my little language training for
Lane
you.
lesson.
Love it.
Yeah. So for the rest of the week, we'll have some learning here in the newsroom and working with everyone from our digital staff to our news anchors to our assignments desk and going out in the field with some of our reporters. As he mentioned this morning, we had a meeting with Tyler Mayor Martin Hines, who's always very wonderful and welcoming. And we have other community members, other business leaders. We'll be meeting tomorrow with the Hispanic Business Alliance to learn a little bit about businesses in East Texas, but also our Hispanic community. That's such a rich and important part of East Texas, and we're exposing him to culture and history and some fun
And food.
too, and food too.
Oh,
We
you
have
can't
some
beat it.
award-winning barbecue ready for this evening. We
Right.
tried Whataburger for lunch
Can't beat
for the
Whataburger.
first time.
First time.
How was that?
Well, I'm still full.
There you go.
And I had Dr. Pepper.
Okay. How was that?
And
Well,
sweet tea.
I've
sweet
had it
tea.
before, but
Yeah, okay.
I usually don't have it because it's hard to find.
Right.
So
Enjoyed
nice
it.
treat for the
There you go.
noontime.
Okay.
We explored the Tyler Rose Garden, which this afternoon is receiving its designation as a National Historic Landmark. Of course, it's the largest rose garden in America, so that was pretty cool. And gosh, we have some other fun activities, a firearms demonstration. The gun laws in Germany are quite strict, and it's very uncommon for individuals to own firearms.
Right.
And so we're going to learn a little bit about safety and have some discussions about that. We have a meeting set up with some grassroots political organizers here in East Texas to kind of get a look at the political landscape in our region and really the state of Texas. So we're putting as much as we can into the limited time that we have.
Absolutely.
So that way he gets a good taste of East Texas and, like I said, a little bit of fun too.
A little bit of fun. Sounds like
He's
a great
been doing
trip.
a really good job.
Just trying to
Oh,
return the
organizing
favor
this.
of the wonderful experience I had in Germany.
Yeah,
So-
Lane's fantastic, and of course, he's done this trip both on the traveling and the receiving end, and he's brought a few people to the desk, and it's just he's really good at this, and it seems like a really fun experience on both parts.
Our newsroom benefits because we're learning about people, professionals, and cultures that are different from our own, and sometimes that gets us out of our comfort zone,
yeah.
and puts us in a position where we're better able to learn. And we live in a very diverse place, but sometimes we stay with what's familiar.
Right.
And so having to overcome language barriers or different backgrounds and different upbringings, I think, is better for all of us as journalists here in this newsroom, because that allows us to be thinking about all of the different people in our community
Right.
that we're supposed to be serving on a day-to-day basis. But hey, it's just a heck of a lot of fun having our journalists come from Germany.
Well, we appreciate Lane for bringing you by, and of course, we appreciate you coming by and talking to
Thank
us.
you.
Great
It's been a pleasure.
conversation. I
you.
enjoyed every time we have this chat. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. Of course, if you have any questions for Andreas, you can let us know about him on Twitter at East Texas Now, on Facebook, facebook.com/East Texas Now, or email me directly, talkback@easttexasnow.live. And he's here until Friday, is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
And we'll do our best to get them answered for you guys.
All right.
In the meantime, y'all got a big full day tomorrow, and of course, going to rest up this evening and go. Oh, Stanley's tonight,
Yes, indeed.
so
Yes,
it
indeed.
sounds like a lot of fun.
And this guy's got to catch up on some sleep,
Some
right?
sleep, a little
Absolutely.
bit. A little bit before GMAT tomorrow.
Because GMEC comes early. Okay. Well, we'll see you guys very, very soon. And again, thank you so much for talking to us, and we look forward to doing it again.
Thank you, Jeremy.
All right.
Have a good
Good
afternoon.
night, Lane.